I will give my word to Denise Rovrada, who is INGSA Youth Young Delegate, and she has a few questions for you. Denise, please.
Thank you very much, Polona. So to kick off the whole webinar, we would like to ask you some questions, and please just answer with a yes or a no in the chat function. The first question that we would like to ask is, does your organization have a sustainability strategy? Let's see what is coming in. We have our first yes. Oh yeah, we get a lot of yes in the chat. That is nice to see. Another yes. Perfect. Give you maybe one more minute to answer that quickly. But for now, it looks like we have 100% yes. All organizations do have a sustainability strategy. Oh, we have one no. Okay, that's good. Okay, so let's jump over to the next question. Do you measure and track the environmental impact of your operations and events? Also here, just feel free to just answer with a yes or a no. Do you measure it somehow or not? We'd be happy to have our first impression. Okay, we have another yes for that, another no. Also interesting to see that there are sustainability strategies who are not being measured. There's some who are. Looks like good feedback. Nice. Okay, there are some still developing. Some do have one, some but not 100% yet. So it looks interesting. Okay, let's see. Let's go over to if I remember correctly, the last question for kicking off the meeting. Do you utilize technology and innovation to enhance sustainability efforts? Also here, please just quickly answer in the chat. Yes, okay. Oh, that's good to see that innovations are being used. Not, yeah, some at least. Okay, online meetings. Yes, that's also already one way of technology at least. Well, thank you very much, all of you, for answering these questions for a good kickoff. I hope that gave us a little bit of a perspective already who is joining today. And with that, I would just like to give it back to you, Polona.
Okay, thank you, Denise. And thank you everyone who engaged with the conversation. It's good to see that a lot of you have the sustainability strategy, but probably there's always room for improvement, and that's why we are also bringing you this seminar today. So before I give the word to our experts, let's just quickly do the introduction of all the three speakers that we have today. So we will start with Anton Kliszewski, who will present the first football jersey worldwide that it's made of Cradle Gold-certified materials, and it was developed for the Football Club Internazionale Berlin. So Anton is a coordinator for sustainability and engagement at that club, but he's also a consultant for sports and fair trade at the Action Alliance in Berlin and advises sports organizations, politics, and administration in the area of consumption and production. And yes, last but not least, he's also INGSA Youth Young Delegate and the winner of the Best Volunteer Award within INGSA Youth. So Anton will be followed by Lucy Mills, who is the founder of Ready Sport Global, a consultancy and a learning hub innovating at the intersection of sport technology and social impact. Lucy also has 16 years of experience in the football industry across Europe and Africa. She has designed and led professional and grassroots women's football and social impact programs in more than 25 countries. Her presentation is entitled "The Role of Innovation and Technology in Sport for Sustainable Development." And last but not least, we will conclude this seminar with Also in the Youth Young Delegate, Ariadna Moya Gilin. She will present her session, which is entitled Sustainability of Sports in the Metaverse, exploring the next steps of digitalization. And this same title is used for her master thesis, who is exploring the topic of sports in the metaverse and the topic of digitalization. So Ariadna will present you more about her efforts in this area. And that's it. Let's start with the sessions. So Anton, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Polona, for the nice introduction. I will start sharing my screen now, and I can also very freshly add a new position that I'm withholding in the club since Friday. I'm not only the coordinator for sustainability and engagement, but also a board member for exactly those two topics. So you can see that sustainability is really the core of our organization, and I'm trying to give you one specific example on how we moved what's possible in our opinion, and is a small world novelty, the jersey, das Trikot. That is what my presentation is called today. And here you can see on the first slide the end result, the jersey that we presented last year during the Euro 2024 in Berlin in front of the Brandenburger Gate. And to give you one example already why it is a novelty and also for was presented in this kind of scenario. From all the 24 teams that participated in the European Championships, the Men European Championships 2024, none of the national teams were producing their kit in Europe, but we are producing it in Portugal. So this is already one aspect of the novelty in this jersey. But let me start before we get into the clarity and into the process of how we designed and why we designed this jersey, who we are actually. FC Internationale Berlin is a strictly amateur club from Germany. We have over 1,300 members that comprise 58 teams that are playing regularly and training regularly during the week. From that, we also have 90 coaches, which makes us one of the biggest non-professional clubs in Berlin. And we have been famous for quite a while, since 1980, for doing more than sports. But especially in 2021, we were the first sustainability certified amateur club in Germany, which gave us a lot of recognition press-wise. But obviously, that's not why we're doing it, because we're holistically interested into the topic. But it gave us some recognition. And since then, we've came up with a sustainability strategy that finally led to this innovation and why we are today here in this web seminar. This is in German, so just to give you a short overview what it means to have a sustainability strategy, that's why I call it how it started. We have obviously goals each year that we publish on our website and also make a report on it. And we have different areas of working. For example, when it comes to catering, when it comes to event management, when it comes to zero waste measurements, but also when it comes to merchandising and kit. And so to give you a glance of how we started, in the first year, we just wanted to change our merchandise articles. It was around 8 to 10 that we had each year to more fair and ecological commitment. That was the first year, the goal. And in the second year, in 2022-3, it was that we wanted to finalize the rest, because we started with 3 that we certified and we wanted to finish with the rest of them. So this was achieved by us. And so we were looking for a new goal in 2023-2024. And that's why we got to the next ladder of innovation. We didn't stop with the merchandise. We wanted to actually get a new kit, a new supplier, because as you might know, with 1,300 members in the club, we have a lot of potential of procuring more fair and more ecological, because everyone, including me right now, is wearing a jersey which is normally made of polyester, which is a fossil-based material and is a big problem if we want to become net zero at some level in the sporting industry. So we were also the first non-professional sports organization that opened up this process and made a tender for the teamwear with 30% of sustainability criteria. What does that mean? We were not accepting a current offer that we had, a lucrative offer, I must say, from one of the bigger brands, but we were giving the opportunity that other brands could pitch to us, and we take sustainability at the core of the decision, 30%, which was only topped by 40%. That is the price. This was how it continued, the timeline. Obviously, as a non-professional sports organization, we needed a board resolution. So I brought this into our board in summer 2023 already. We then agreed to it. We conceptualized the open tender. I give you a short glance at it. It's still online. I can afterwards, if you want, share you also the criteria in detail. You can easily translate it with one of your translations, and then you can maybe use it also for your own organization. And then we publicized it in the end of October, waited until end of December to get 9 bids, selected 3, and then finally made a decision in February 2024 for our new kit supplier, which really surprised us because it was not one of the big brands you might know. And we actually decided against 2 bigger brands for this kind of innovative project. Just to give you a short glance, criteria in detail means we really looked into all of the aspects of the supply chain, the social sustainability, but also the ecological sustainability. The thing is that with cotton material, for example, pullovers or whatever you're using as a t-shirt, it's more easier to certify it because we have the fair trade standard, e.g. for social sustainability, paying the workers right, or standards like GOTS, which is the Global Organic Textile Standard, or other standards that are really well put into the industry, and it's very easy for people who are eco-conscious to get sustainable material when it comes to cotton. With polyester, which I mentioned everyone is wearing in the sporting industry because it is a very good material and very cheap material which we use on the pitch, it is more difficult. So also there we were trying to make as many criteria as possible, at least to have some transparency into the supply chain, because before we didn't even know where our kit were produced. The supplier gave us only 3 different nations, not even one location, just 3 different countries where it would have been produced, but not under which conditions. And this we wanted to change by having this criteria very in-depth and very in detail. The partnership then that was established after this bidding process, after the criteria has been discussed, is a partnership of 2 brands you probably might not know. That's why I'm explaining you a little bit about the concept. Hakro is a supplier that already worked in the basketball field in Germany, normally produces cotton materials, but also some of the polyester articles. But so they are producing mostly the kit, not the kit, but the material that we're using off the pitch. For example, hoodies, for example, shirts for kids and for adults. And they are Fairware certified leaders, so they have been shown progress in fair and social working conditions for the last 10 years. So we're very happy that this bigger brand is joined also by Runamics, who are actually doing and producing our kit. Runamics is the first or the brand that already had this cradle-to-cradle standards in running gear. Cradle to cradle, to give you like a short explanation what cradle to cradle actually means, it's the best known certification for circularity. So cradle to cradle means from cradle to cradle that in the whole process of the product life cycle, material health is taken into consideration. So already when it is produced, we are thinking about what happens at the end of the life cycle, because currently when you wear a kit, a jersey, after it's rotten or ripped, you have to throw it away normally. Some suppliers are taking it back already now and putting it into the loop, but it's pretty new. And this material is completely clean. It's a mono material, so you can really bring it completely into the loop, and we make, when it's finished, a completely new jersey out of it. We will send it back to Portugal. I show you the supply chain afterward in the next slide. And this is a very, very big step for us, because before we were actually, it was needed to throw the kit away. And this is a big loss, because the cradle-to-cradle concept also says that every material is essential, and especially on a planet with boundaries, with planetary boundaries, we need every resource available, especially if we use fossil-based materials still, we need to keep it into the loop. That's super important for us. And so we were happy that this is the first time we were actually able to make it. The last slide symbolizes another important step in the partnership. Nochmal is our first jersey partner. It is also a part of the sustainability and cradle-to-cradle concept, because the Nochmal is the biggest second-hand warehouse in Berlin. So also there in the partnership, we're playing with the sustainability aspect, and but what is important to note is that we already made the partnership without knowing that we will have a sponsor later on. So we took a risk because it's obviously more expensive when you produce it in Portugal, when you produce it under the Cradle Gold standard. And I cannot give you a direct number, but let's say it's more as double as much as we produced or as we spent before around that. So that's a lot for a non-professional sports club. This is, in short, the supply chain, how it works. You know, you have everything delivered or starting in Portugal with the coloring, with the printing, with the sticking and the sewing. Everything happens in Portugal within the framework of 20 kilometers because Portugal is known as one of the fair working countries. There's very low risk because the rights, working rights of laborers are very much protected by the government there. That's why a lot of fair fashion brands are producing in Portugal, but obviously makes it also more expensive, the production in comparison to Southeastern Asia, for example. Then it was sent to us, or first of all to Runamics, then they bring it to us. Now we're currently using it already. I mean, I'm wearing it right now, but also our teams are wearing it on the pitch already. And just at the end of the life cycle, if it's not being worn anymore, it will be taken back by us, being recycled with a partner which is called Turns, then brought back to Portugal to the facility and is then being used again for textiles of our club. Or best case scenario, if we find some more clubs that we are willing to take this extra mile, we can make a completely new loop with all of these clubs that have clean and material health products. So in the end, this is a closed loop and it's not an open loop anymore. Transparency means for the first time that we actually had images from the factory where we're producing, which is it was very nice for us. Even though I haven't been yet to Portugal, I'm planning to go there this year if I can to really join and see how the factory is producing our kit. Obviously, our supplier was there and made also some tests and regulation that everything goes in order. But here you can see, for example, the cradle to cradle materials that are, or the cradle to cradle pastry that is used for making the no racism logo, which is our second logo which we're using for our jerseys since over 25 years. And it was also nice because the workers in Portugal were very happy because it was for them also one of the first of this kind project, and that's why they sent us some pictures showing us the progress of this jersey. It's important to note that if you're building something new, which we did, we also needed to, invest, but we needed to invest in marketing. Investing as a non-professional club means you use every voluntary position possible into the club and asking people for help to bring this to the surface. And so we actually made clips, we made videos, we made photos, we made a presentation of the kit as I presented you in the first place in front of the Brandenburger Gate. So we used every capacity to tell the world, or at least our Berlin surroundings, that we are building something and that we are about to change something in this landscape. And you can see we call it Das Trikot, the jersey, because it has so many different aspects that we are believing that it could be a future model of a more sustainable jersey. This I will not show you now, but I can keep it into the presentation if you want to see how we also presented it on YouTube as a almost professional advert, which is very unusual and rare for a non-professional club like ours. But you can see if you can find people that are voluntarily supporting a cause, what's possible. That's why I'm leaving it into this presentation for you guys to look in after. Here, I just want to show you again some other pictures, imagery. From example, on the left side, we have influencers that we sent the jersey that we're showing it on Instagram. We have moderators in the middle, for example, you can see that are presenting it also on Instagram and showing it to their crowd. He's probably not known in the international space, but Chiago, the guy with the glasses, he's a very famous rapper in Germany now. He's like on Spotify, has millions of clicks, and he's wearing the jersey happily because he actually played for our club. So we have a very big network also of people who used to play for us, and we're using this because, as you might know, jerseys are getting a new recognition as like a fashion utensil currently, because it's athleisure movement that people are using, even though they're not doing sport, they're using jerseys in order to showcase coolness or style. And we are also playing with this aspect to having this jersey as a design piece, especially when you can see that the logo is imprinted in this position, as I'm showing you in the camera, or you can also see it on the pictures, which is rather rare for a picture for a jersey. And in the lower right side, you can actually see our under 16s team that are already playing on it on the pitch and are pretty happy and are successful playing with it. Last but not least, media reach is part of the marketing campaign that we've also tried to push forward in order to say that this cannot stop with us. We are the beginning, but if we want to really drive change, we need more clubs to engage with it, and especially professional teams to engage with it. That's why we're happy we could have also talked with people and sustainability managers from the Bundesliga, so from the first and the second Bundesliga, so from the professional field. They're really interested in how we did that. Unfortunately, the price question is always more delicate, because we as a non-professional club, we can invest a little bit more in the beginning to be more innovative, but because we don't rely that much on sponsorship money as maybe the big brands. But still, it showed that we can put it on stage, on events. We were in newspapers, in sponsoring publications, and even on the radio. And this is what we can do and what we will do, and which is our motivation in order to bring more people to the attention that actually you can make a difference even if you're a small brand like us. And this is the last picture. We won last year, among other prizes, one of the biggest prizes in Germany, the German Sustainability Prize. That normally is only up for bigger brands that have millions of turnover and whatsoever. And you can see smiling on the right side our voluntary sustainability coordinator, who was there on stage and could present it. And we received this prize, but this is also only one step, and now we're already looking into making the jersey 2.0 in order to reducing eventually the cost and make it more accessible, not only to our members, but also to other clubs. But let's see what the future holds. I'm looking forward what we can still do in this field. And if you have afterwards any more question, you can contact me via mail, and also you will get this presentation afterwards. And now I think we still have time for also one or two questions, if you like, that you can ask me directly, or maybe a clarification question if something was still open, or I should go into more detail. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anton, for this very insightful presentation. So I will look at the audience. Does anyone have a question or would like to ask something? You can, okay, we have one. Okay, so Anton, the question is about the price of the jersey. How much do you sell the jersey for?
Yes, it's a very good question, because we recently made an Instagram reel where we explained the price that we're taking for it. The current price that we're taking is 80 euros, and you might say, oh, this is a lot for a non-professional club. And in the first hand, I agree, because this is one of the first items that we sell. Normally, a non-professional club is not selling their kit. You just use it for playing on the pitch. But this is one of the first time that we sell the jersey. And if you compare it to, for example, the German national team jersey, which is about 100 euro, we know that the production cost of the German national team jersey is around 15 to 16 euros. And we know that our production cost is way higher. It's around, I cannot say the specific number, but it's more than 40 euros per item. So that's a lot if you compare it to a normal production cost. So we took the lowest price possible in order that it still makes sense for us, because we use workforce for it. We have storing capacity, marketing, etc. But we think it's a fair price when you compare it the superiority of the materials and the working conditions to more generic product.
Okay, and there is a second question, well, and a third as well, but let's start with Mike. So what would success look like for you from this campaign?
The first success is the dearest success, that the recognition from within the club is very, very good. Like the players are really liking wearing it. And so this is the most important thing, because if you produce a sustainable jersey and our players don't like it, then the project is over. So this is the milestone that we have, because we are very in close contact also with the players while designing it. So they had also a say in it, in the design, and also in how it would look like. So this is the first success, definitely. The next success will be obviously that it needs to be copied. I mean, it's nice that we're winning prizes for it now. It's nice that we get the recognition and everyone says, wow, you're such an example in Germany and great that you've done it. But always when I'm on the panel, I'm asking, why are we the ones that had to design it? It's not right. We shouldn't have been the first ones to design it. It should have been a professional club. They have the capacities, they have the supply chains, and have the reach to really change the industry. We will not change the industry. We can only change a little part of the industry in the non-professional field. But again, we have 2,400 teams alone, or clubs in Berlin. And if we reach a few of them, maybe we'd start a trend.
Okay, thank you, Anton. Let's do one more question, because we have another one from Marisa, and she asked if other non-professional clubs in Germany would like to follow the footsteps. But let's maybe expand it, European non-professional clubs. What would be the good first steps towards a jersey like that?
Yeah, I'm asking, or I'm getting asked this question a lot. I'm trying to start from scratch. The most important thing is, when you are working in a non-professional club, you need to have some allies, some people that are working with you in the project. So one of the first things that I did back then when I started volunteering at the club, now I'm working actually as a half-paid staff, we asked within the club to do a working group sustainability, and we asked everyone around, either as a parent, a coach, or a player, to join us. And so we started with 15 people from the beginning to think about sustainability related topics, our actions, and that was very, very motivating from the start, because you didn't feel alone. And from that scratch on, we had ideas that multiplied over the years, and I could have not believed, like 5 years ago when I started, to which point we would actually, what point we would actually reach. So I think the first thing always is to get the inspiration started, to get the conversation started, and build a small team. Start with the first projects, and if you find some success, be bold, go in for funding. There is a lot of funding potential, at least in Germany, but I think European-wide as well. And from that, the successes will also convince the board, and then you can make a real change within the whole organization and build on the process for the sports organization of the future.
Great. Thank you, Anton. Thank you again for the presentation. So to be mindful of the time, let's go on with our second presentation. So Lucy, please take the stage.
Great. Amazing, Anton. Loved listening to your story and your journey and your product. Brilliant. And thanks so much, ENGSO and the Change Project, for inviting me to share. So just gonna share my screen. So yeah, today I'm just going to introduce myself and my company, Ready. And the title of my contribution is Innovation and Technology in Sustainable Development. And so I'm going to actually step out a bit. So Anton went very deep into an amazing innovation for climate action in sport, and I'm going to zoom out and try to contribute some kind of general trends and insights from across the sport and sustainable development landscape that we've been learning from working with lots of different organizations, federations, NGOs, clubs, and so on. And I break out innovation and technology too, because, in some spaces, when people talk about innovation, they immediately jump to technology. And of course, we can look at innovation much more broadly. And I'm going to give some examples of all of the different types of innovation and definitions and so on. And then I will touch on technology specifically. We do a lot of work in this area, and so some of the insights and learnings that are helpful for us in sport for development. So about Ready. So we're really sitting at this intersection of sports, technology, and social impact. And I founded the company 3 years ago. and ever since then have been growing. Started with education, moving into advising and consulting on digital, AI and blockchain technologies in sport, with a particular focus on making sure that people are at the core of these technology solutions. Just a quick shout out, we have a couple of free introductory courses on AI, on blockchain, which have been really popular and kind of get people going and curious and on this learning journey in what are otherwise quite complex topics. And yeah, so just we work across assessment and strategy, across training and education and implementation. So my contributions today are really from the perspective of having worked with lots of different types of organizations on strategy, on training and education, on implementation. Gonna skip this. Moving on to innovation perspectives then. So I think my biggest takeaway is really that innovation is everywhere in sport for sustainable development. Anton is an incredible example of that. And we really draw and kind of get drawn to the design thinking and human-centered design aspect of innovation, or principle of innovation, which we really see across the entire ecosystem. And so really putting people at the center of design, of delivery, of evaluation. So for the past year and a half, I've been hosting a virtual series called the Innovation Series on with a sport for development practitioner community. And I wanted to bring in some of the reflections from having run this innovation series for a year and a half. Again, I think, like, you know, collaboration is one of the core principles of innovation. So it's great that we're looking into other communities and other ecosystems for sources. So I just want to share that the aim of the innovation series is really about focusing on under-talked about and emerging trends that are relevant for sport for development. And I started off thinking, oh, I'm going to talk about design thinking, I'm going to talk about technology. But then I realized, wow, there are so many people doing so many innovative things within their own lines of work. And you know, from a branding communications perspective, from a how do we work with people and teams and culture change perspective, professional athletes as well, innovating in their own work as social entrepreneurs. We also have innovative approaches in impact measurement, in youth leadership and youth advocacy, in engaging and including girls and women through menstrual health awareness and resources. We have innovation in how we design projects, in how we lead and our executive leaders in projects. Matthew Campelli talked about a bit similar to Anton's space, which is innovating in sport for positive climate action. So I share this because I realized that we all, in our own ways, are deploying innovation principles, which is looking at what's out there, identifying sources of interest, inspiration, case studies, best practices. We're all looking at our community, or our group, or our team, or our athletes, participants with a human-centered design lens. We're testing, we're iterating, we're getting feedback, we're monitoring, we're evaluating. In some cases, we're scaling. So there's so much of the innovation cycle across all kinds of projects and roles within sport for sustainable development. And some of the key takeaways of being immersed in innovation across lots of different fields within this space is, of course, starting with purpose. The fact that innovation is contextual, right? So what's innovative in one setting is not necessarily in another. Innovation doesn't have to be this like incredibly expensive radical overhaul of a system. It could be incremental change that means that you're making a subtle shift or an improvement, or you're acknowledging a barrier or challenge, and you're making a change, and you're improving access or impact or improving your work. Across all of the innovators that I've talked to and some of the projects that we at Ready we've been involved in, the people who are innovating are curious learners, and they don't know all the answers. We don't know all the answers, but often these innovations are emergent, so we are open to finding the answers. And then innovators find communities outside of sport for inspiration. So whether that's you're looking into a different sector or a different type of community. So that's a broad innovation perspective in sport for sustainable development. Then technology perspective. So in our work at Ready, we work a lot in new technologies and emerging technologies. We are, of course, living in an era of unprecedented technological change. We know then that sport for sustainable development in the ecosystem, we have a lot of innovators. We have people with an innovation mindset who are taking risks, who are fostering this culture of change and innovation, who are iterating and learning and experimenting as they go. But still, technology, and especially with the advancements of AI, people are, there's a lot of confusion or fear or not sure where to start and so on. And we know, though, that there's a lot of interest in the application of these technologies. So far, we've done educational training workshops with over 3,000 people on new technologies. We had a session with 250 women working in sport on artificial intelligence. So we know that the demand is there. We also know that the technology space can be sometimes a bit kind of like an alien or not very friendly. So a lot of what we try and do is to make these technologies relevant to the work that we're doing. And actually, if you think about it, we're using technologies every day, all the time, and we're at an era where we really need to be thinking about how to use these technologies and to contribute to shaping how these technologies are used in the future. When it comes to AI in particular, we're really excited about the fact that it's not a kind of high professional elite sports that are accessing these tools, but AI is providing otherwise expensive scientific forecasting, optimization, and so on tools that would otherwise kind of 5-10 years ago been really, really hard to access for organizations that have lower resources and less people. So our message is that AI isn't just for professional sport, and we've been doing a lot of work across the sports ecosystem with sport for development and NGOs that are starting to think about how their organizations can be upskilling and creating that environment and implementing AI in smart and efficient and effective ways. So some tips on technology in sport for sustainable development. Again, not dissimilar to the innovation lens, right? You start with your purpose. You start with the person at the center. Sometimes in the sports tech space, we get very carried away about the technology, of the solution, of the product. But ultimately, for sport and social impact organizations that are already serving people and thinking about social impact, then if you just continue with that, then you can think about, okay, what digital infrastructure do we need to support what we're doing, connecting people, training, and so on. It's really a great time to be investing in learning in ways that are relevant to our teams, to our different groups. We do see, though, that the most effective, or let's say that we've done a lot of trainings and upskillings and workshops and so on with professionals, individuals like us all here. And that's great. But of course, if your leadership, senior team isn't also embracing this kind of learning organization approach, then that can be limited, and also mean that you might be doing things individually, but not at a collective level. So that's kind of a shout out for the senior leaders who are tuning in today. And then there's a big hype and interest in AI at the moment, but of course, there's no AI without data. And this is something that it was a phrase that really stuck with me from a woman called Nancy Hensley, who has had a long career in technology and has been doing a lot of work in women's football. And this phrase stuck with me because we can get so excited about all of the solutions out there, but if we aren't thinking about how we're organized as an organization, our data infrastructure, how we're collecting, how we're storing, and what is it we actually need, then it's a bit pointless. One thing that we advocate for as well is the alignment. So here we might have organizations with different departments doing different things and different functions. And maybe in one area they're using AI, and another they're not, and then it's a little bit disjointed. So looking more strategically across your organization about okay, what is our data foundation like, and what are the systems we do have, and then where might AI slot in is a really good way to identify quick wins, and that might mean reducing costs or time or optimizing particular pieces of work. So I'll stop there. Really what I wanted to open up and kind of contribute today is that bridge. So innovation, lots of forms and lots of types, and following that more human-centered innovation, we're seeing that across the entire sport for sustainable development ecosystem. Technology and AI, some tangible insights and advice for organizations thinking about, where do I start? What do I do? I'm feeling overwhelmed, and so on. So happy to take any questions. Happy to connect with others, offline, on LinkedIn, in other forums, and I'm contributing these types of topics in different communities as well. So probably see some of you in different spaces as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lucy. So let's go to the audience. Do we have any questions for Lucy? Please raise your hand or simply write a question in the chat. And okay, we have one.
Yeah,
How can
so yeah, thanks, Lorato. So the if you go onto our website, you can go on the homepage at the bottom of the page, and you can see that you can click a link, and it's free. We've made 2 introductory courses free, so you can check out the video content. It's a condensed video content there.
Okay, Lucy, I would also have one question, if I may. So based on your experience working with sport clubs and sport organizations, what are the most common challenges those sport clubs face when it comes to innovation, technology, and sustainability, like based on your experience?
So, and also having worked in an NGO and being a volunteer and worked in these different roles, I think there's like time and resourcing, and many of us, some are volunteers, some do many people's jobs, for like 4 people's jobs in one, and yeah, I think it's that sense of juggling. And so if you then throw in something new, or there's a new technology, or it's like I'm already doing 5 things. I was with your teammate actually, Engso, and with the Euro hockey at the weekend, and one of the hockey federations commented. They were saying, we don't even have teaspoons in our kitchen. We can't even think about AI. So in a bit of a jokey way, but I think that like kind of a bit of a sentiment is like, things are changing so quickly. We're doing so many things all around us. And then now we have to keep innovating and keep adapting and so on. So I think it can get very overwhelming. That's been my personal experience, and that's kind of the sentiment that we sometimes see. But I think my response to that is that there has been a digital transformation process that's been going on. So organizations have been looking at their systems and using technology for monitoring, evaluation, and in different areas. I would say that we're getting to a point now with AI that when teams and people in organizations are trained on and equipped with tools that are aligned and synced up across organizations, that they can be really, really useful. And I think it's like a strategic piece where you just need to, as a group, maybe stop for a few days and assess and see where you are, and then kind of go from there. And it doesn't need to be expensive either. Is the thing that increasingly things are becoming more and more and more accessible, and they don't need to be very, 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 very high tech. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. So we have one last question. Maybe Denise, you want to speak up since it's from you?
Sure. I was wondering, have you like any specific areas in organization where you have identified like the biggest need for using AI, or maybe also the biggest like success rate when using AI in that areas?
Yeah, thanks, Denise. So we can look at the role of AI in 3 different domains in sports. So in athlete performance and everything on the field, for sports, for the management and sports organization kind of back end off the field, and then maybe thirdly for the fan community experience, so your ecosystem. I think the biggest need or the biggest opportunity, I think, sits with the middle one. So for organizations ourselves. So if you think about everything that sports organizations, and I'm talking more on the sports sustainable development, NGOs and federations and so on. If you think about everything that sports organizations do, like project management, administration, education, curriculum development, delivery, translation, working across borders, event, like all of these different functions, we could probably sit down and map out a good plan of where AI can really support across those areas. That responds to the need that organizations are facing, right? When they're saying, we don't have enough time, we don't have enough resources. We're now running a webinar in, I don't know how many different languages are on this call, but in, across languages and borders. And then we have this reporting, and then we have this social media and this communication. So even on the day-to-day, that's kind of the need that we're seeing, and where the biggest opportunities are. We're not talking about you see some of these incredible like brain centers for like the high professional sports and immersive fan experiences, and personalized training and performance and injury prevention and scouting and all of these like higher advancements that are there. But I think the need that we're seeing is more with organizations themselves.
Okay. Thank you, both Lucy and Denise. Denise, we are getting more questions, but we really need to be mindful of the time and move on. So maybe we gather the questions afterwards and answer via email. But now we will stay with the AI, but we will move more towards the metaverse. So Ariadna, please go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Lucy and Anton, your presentations were super interesting, and I loved to get so many insights. Sorry. Okay, so my presentation, I'm gonna start talking about sustainability of sports in the metaverse. And as you zoom out, I'm gonna zoom in again, Lucy, from a specific topic, which is gonna be the metaverse. Currently, society and sports, we can see that there are so many changes going on, and two main focuses are digitalization, but also sustainability. So I thought that would be something really interesting to research about and to invest some time to know a little bit more. On this presentation, I will start with an introduction to the metaverse. I don't know how much the audience knows about it, so I thought like some insights about it would be interesting. Then I will move on sports in the metaverse, what's the actual situation of it. And later on at the end, I will explain some pros and cons that I have been finding during my research about the sustainability of sports in the metaverse, how feasible or not it's going to continue, and what's the situation and how can that look in the future. So I don't know if you ever heard metaverse word before. The first time that was mentioned was in 1992. I was personally not born when that was firstly mentioned, and it was by Neil Stephenson, and it was a fiction novel, actually. He coined some of the key terms of what we are currently considering as the metaverse. He had the main character of this book, it's Hiro, and he escapes to a virtual reality through an avatar. So these are two very important things in what we are considering currently as a metaverse. The situation is that it's by avatar, so the participants or the users are characterized by avatars, looking alike or not. That's something that they can decide, and it's immersive. So this feeling of being inside. Another, let's say, definition of what we can say about the metaverse, it's a virtual reality universe where users can engage and interact. That's also very important, the concept of socializing there, and it can merge, enhance physical, but also the key point, which are the digital realities. These are, let's say, the key points, or these are like characteristics that we are finding in the metaverse. There are different definitions and different specific points, but these are usually the most shared ones, which is digital mediated, we are not in the real world, we are under or immersed in something which is digital. Then we have different spaces. We are using different realities, which are augmented reality, virtual reality, extended reality, mixed reality, that I will explain it very soon. It's immersive. As I said, this is a very important thing that the user can feel inside. It's immersing in another world, as well the social feeling, socializing with others and being connected. And also it's in real time. So this is, the users are connected in the same time. The technology behind, I would say that for technology, we can understand the metaverse as a evolution of what we had, for considering the initial part, Web 1, which was the first Internet Explorer. Then we moved on Web 2, which are mainly, for example, Google or Meta, where we can really see an interaction between. And then currently what we are having, which is Web 3. It was in the previous presentation also mentioned, and it's built in a blockchain technology. As an easy way to understand it, blockchain and this Web3, it means that the information, it's not owned by big companies as it would be in Web 2, but rather by the users and in many data centers. So the data, it's not owned by big companies, and that's something that gives this power, let's say, to the users rather than to companies. Other technologies that are there, which can be or not, but I think it's also interesting to highlight, especially for the sports industry, NFTs, which are non-fungible tokens. And these are like art pieces, but it could be like an art piece, but in the digital environment. So it's something that cannot exactly replace, and there's only one. And here, for example, we have one NFT from Alexia Putellas, who's a football from Football Club Barcelona, and this is something that is used in the metaverse as a monetization way. And important enough as well to say that in order to use or to access to these NFTs, cryptocurrencies are needed. Then later on, also we have these airs plus and other letters, XR, VR, MR, and AR. This is what I meant before about the different spaces, like the 3 spaces. Extended reality, it's a mix of all. So we have extended reality, a mix of virtual reality, mixed reality, and augmented reality. What is virtual reality, mixed reality, and augmented reality? I will say it with some examples because I think it might be easier as well. Augmented reality, it would be like a Snapchat filter. So a filter that we would see on Snapchat or on Instagram, when we have an image of the real world plus something on top. So the digital part, it's on top and there is no interaction. When there is an interaction with the real world and the digital world, it would be mixed reality. And then what we mean about virtual reality is when we immerse somewhere which is completely different to what is surrounding us. So there is no connection with the reality, the physical reality. Now a bit more of metaverse and sports. So this definition, I think, kind of summarizes what can be understood in of sports and the metaverse. So in the sport context, the metaverse can be considered as a digital copy. So what we have, but in a digital way. And from that, we can talk about stadiums. We can also talk about the teams, millions of spectators. The ways in which I have found in my research that metaverse is interacting, sports is interacting with the metaverse, are virtual stadiums and arena. There are so many clubs currently building their stadiums. So this is like a virtual twin. The same way that we have a stadium in real life, we can also have stadiums digitally. Then also with esports, I have to say that personally, I'm not really focusing on esports on my research. And the reason why behind it's because this is already in a digital environment. And my interest, or what I wanted to focus on, was like how traditional sports can be like the actual concept of traditional sports can interact with this digitalization. So how it can be, what it's adding this to traditional sports. Then metaverse is also used for training and simulation. How can we improve the athletes' trainings, and how can they feel immersed in a stadium without being in the same place. Also for digital merchandise and collectibles, really focusing on the fan engagement, new ways to offer fans. And then social viewing and interaction, which would be like the broadcasting in the metaverse. Here, I just wanted to add a few photos on how it could look like, because I'm aware that this is a very new concept on how the metaverse can look like or not. For example, on the top right, you can see how the Gangwon Youth Olympic Games look like, and then users could immerse in the metaverse and see how the Olympic Village look like, and see the training spaces and so on using their avatar. We also have the Manchester United, which in 2022 announced that they wanted to build their virtual stadium. The following, it's going to be some of the more results I found, but it should be noted that my 3 key areas were sports organizations, federations, clubs, institutions, athletes, and fans. So I'm not focused on I'm focused on professional sports. On professional sport, actually. Not so much into physical activity or not, which I think could also be interesting to research about, but I didn't go in deep to that. So analyzing actually more than 40 cases on how the sports organizations, clubs, and so on are doing, or what are they doing in the metaverse, what we can see is that it's very recent concept. Most of the cases, to say like 99%, starting in 2022, talks about being introduced in the metaverse. And then also I think it's quite interesting, how are they doing it? Most of them, what they are actually doing, it's creating alliances with technology companies. So they are not introducing these of the metaverse as, for example, a team would do for social media, but rather as an alliance with expert companies. And then obviously, I guess it's also because of the money requirements that it can create, and for the returns and everything, the clubs are the ones doing this more. But we can also see here some federations that are actually working on having their space in the metaverse. And the last part of this presentation, which I'm focusing in metaverse, sports, and sustainability. So like this sustainability part on how can this look like in the future? Is it actually good? Is it actually bad? I cannot say neither of them, but just like some pros and some cons of this situation of sports in the metaverse. And I focus in social, economical, and also environmental, each of them separated. So some pros and cons for the situation of sports in the metaverse. If we are considering from an optimistic point of view, we could say that it could increase accessibility. So if someone is immersing in the metaverse from their house and it's watching one sport event from their place, it might be the case that some economical barriers or also geographical barriers might be broken, to say it in a way. It can also give the opportunity to live new cultural experiences, and maybe in the future the will to travel to the place where a sport event is happening, because at the end the first step it's going to be from home, and that's going to be way easier. There's also the possibility to create a new sort of community building space, the same way that through social media it was created, some connections were created, and for the fans, and fans could meet between each other. This could also happen in the sports in the metaverse, because as I said, it's a sort of a social platform. In the cons, so taking this pessimistic consideration, obviously this is something in development. Technology is not the most, it's not the cheapest thing. So clearly that at the moment creates a barrier. Also, internet it's needed in order to experience it at the best way. Quite interesting it is to see that although this is not fully % developed in many cases, we have already examples of discriminatory behavior and safety concerns in the metaverse. So actually in less than 7 minutes, it was observed that in some platforms, there were these discriminatory behaviors. Also, there is the loss of physical sporting experience. So especially in big sports events, we are talking many times in this social part, how good they are in order to live that and to feel what it's there. But yeah, if it's from home, it's not at the same, it's not the 100%. Also, we have the representation issues, and I would like to highlight that because at the end, the participant or the user, it's represented by an avatar. And if one goes, I did that for the part of the research to see how the avatars look like. What we can see is at the end normative bodies, and not all. No, it's not the easiest to create a less normative body. So at the end, if we want to make it something digital and for everyone, I would say it's kind of easy to offer more possibilities, but it's not the case at the moment. And then also something important, if we focus on the athletes, how are gonna be their digital rights, the intellectual property, other images look alike. So yeah, they should be protected. How are the laws on that? Well, still on development. From the economic sustainability perspective, clearly there is a strong market growth potential. It can offer new monetization models. And as I said, there are alliances going on between clubs or federations and so on with technology companies specialized in sport in the metaverse. There are new ways for fan engagement, and also that can create a new way of revenue for clubs, organizations, and so on. The cons, there's still, since it is still in development, the costs are really high. The user accessibility might not be now the easiest. We say that there is like a strong market growth potential, but we don't know how much this will actually happen. So just to say some numbers, the compound annual growth for 2030, it's more than 45% expected, but we don't know if that's going to happen or not. And then obviously there are cybersecurity risks that might create some economic problems to the clubs, the ones implementing it. And lately, the environmental sustainability. So among the pros, stadium energy management, it has been found that with the creation of these virtual stadiums, it can be like the cost of the actual stadiums could be reduced, and some energy management measures could be improved by this virtual analyzing this virtual twin. Also, less people might travel to the place, so we could reduce the emissions. Depending on how this structure of data, the energy is given, it might create some sustainable digital infrastructure, and then some eco-friendly fan engagement, because well, this, Anton, for your t-shirt might not be the case, but like the creation of some NFTs that look like t-shirts used by the users might reduce them wanting to buy a t-shirt that they would wear and only hold one for their avatar. And then this cons part, like the not so good parts, the holding or having all this technology creates a lot of energy consumption. This energy consumption also the data processing can create more CO2 emissions. Also very important, we are using technology and we need some devices, and these devices, the lifespan of these devices tends to be short. And I think it's also interesting, or that it should be highlighted, how these devices are built, and what are the kind of resources that we need, because many times this can be non-environmental sustainable, not social sustainable, depending if we need some minerals which are coming from places where they are not taken in the following, let's say, these environmental and social measures, and harmful for the people extracting them. So that would be all. I try to lead from what is the metaverse to some actions and what is going on in the metaverse. I hope it was clear, and in case anyone have any more, like any question that comes later on, feel free to contact and to ask them either through LinkedIn or through my personal email.
Thank you, Ariadna. So we already have a few questions. So if you have a look in the chat, please, just to read it as well. But Lars commented that he's working on VR e-handball as esports training simulation, grassroots and fan engagement, and also including the aspect of sustainability. Then CI ask a question: how can volatility in sports crypto tokens be reduced to protect the reputation of clubs and athletes and protect fans? So if you might want to comment on this.
Yeah, maybe I will start with the training and simulation and grassroots and fan engagement. I did not go that much deep into the grassroots and grassroots at the moment, because I think also the implementation, so clearly like big clubs and big federations might have this potential at the moment to expect to spend more money or invest this money. I think it's really interesting to see how we can actually use technology to protect as well athletes and with their trainings, and how I was thinking when I was researching, like, for example, in order to prepare athletes, or how the feeling of being in a stadium with all the sound, so maybe like reduce some, or like help on some mental preparation to how this feeling could look like, and so on. And as well, I'm aware that there are some studies on how in ice skating, how can the injuries be reduced by analyzing the images in the metaverse, and also using AI, which I thought it was really interesting, like on the turns and so on. And yeah, and for the esports, as it is, as I said, like, because they are their natural environment is already digital. I think it's also very interesting, and actually even there we will have the first Olympic games, esports Olympic games really soon. So it's clearly something growing. It's clearly something that I believe everyone who is interested in sports should take a look on, every innovation and technology, and then obviously the time will say a bit more on how good, or how can we make it better, and how can we use it for the good. And then we have the question on how can volatility in sports crypto tokens be reduced, protect the reputation of clubs and athletes. So, I mean, clearly business and technology tend to outpass the laws, especially here. There's possibility to make money, and the laws are still not there. Regarding athletes and clubs, I believe that the regulation is more intellectual property, the one regulating it, and how this is used. And regarding volatility in the NFT prices, so like maybe I will take a step back and say, what can this volatility? So NFTs can be traded and can be sold. And also there is this collection of them that could create or increase the value. And then how can we actually control the volatility in the price? I believe it is still something complicated. The market seems to be a bit free in that sense. So the more people that wanted, the price still will increase. Is it fair or not? Well, kind of complicated to give a fully right answer. I don't think I can say. I believe it's more like understanding how it works. So in order, rather than controlling that much this volatility, more offering the actual knowledge of what it is, on how it can continue in the future, or until when it can continue or not. Actually, Lucy, if you want to jump in. And yeah, I would say this would be like the answers. And protect fans, I would say always like teaching and explaining actually the things, is being fair in the communication. It's always a way to protect, giving the option to know about it, rather than just hiding and just saying, here there's something, but I'm not explaining anything else. And that's also something that's also part of what led me to understand this topic, because I heard things, but it was not clear at all, and I wanted to know actually what was going on. And yeah, maybe in the future we will have more clear results. Who knows? Hopefully, yes.
Okay, so thank you, Ariada. Maybe Lucy, do you want to just quickly leave a comment, because I saw you wanted to speak? We still have a bit of time.
No, I put it in the chat. I put it in the chat.
Okay, perfect.
Just
Thank you.
essentially the I guess from two sides, if clubs that are using tokens can make sure that that asset is interesting from a fan experience perspective, then that could maybe make the token less likely to, I don't know, sell, that people want to hold it and enjoy it. And on the other side, I think reframing expectations too, onboarding education and that like responsibility for fans. Also like due diligence on the platform, and regulatory, like following regulatory like frameworks and things like that. So I think you can come at it from lots of different sides. But yeah, if you're a fan and you want a token, then you can hold that token and get experiences from it. And if you don't want to buy it and you want to engage as a fan in a different way, then you wouldn't buy it, is my understanding.
Okay, thank you. So unfortunately, we are getting very close to the conclusion of this online seminar. So please, for all other questions, you can leave them in the chat and we will check them later and send them to the experts so they can send answers via email. But before we go to the end of the seminar, let's just quickly have a look of the two projects within which this online seminar was held. So the first one is Move for Nature, in which IMSS the Youth is involved. This project is actually a not-for-profit Erasmus sport event, and it's a network of local events across Europe. And through those events, which can also be individual, for example, we are supporting people to be active outdoors while also doing a simple cleanup of the trail or the forest or park, wherever they are being active. And because this year we are actually collecting kilometers and kilograms from all of the European countries, we would also like to invite you to join us. So if you go for a hike or a walk, please scan this code and submit your kilometers, or even send us a picture or tag us, because at the end of the year, we will collect how much we have walked and how much we have cleaned, so that we can actually get a very clear impact of the project. And second project is Change. So I will give the word now to my colleague Alicia, who will also then conclude this seminar. Thank you. And Alicia, please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Bologna, and thank you to the experts and the speakers that were here today to enlighten us about sustainability and data and digitalization in the sport field. So I'm Alessia De Iulis. I'm one of the project coordinator of Project Change, co-founded by the European Union. I will spend just few words for you to understand why Project Change was also here today and co-organize the webinar. So basically our objective is to support the sport clubs, federation and organization to put in the conversation of their board meetings some minutes dedicated to change. We know how much it's difficult to find some time for something new, but sometimes this something new can bring a big added value to our entities. So basically what we are doing is to create some supporting material for this target that we have in order for them to insert change in their everyday life. Some of this educational material is composed by this kind of webinars and online seminars that we have. Also, we do have a podcast and we will soon publish a tool composed by several parts, let's say, that will be sent to the organization, to the federation and to the clubs with some materials for them to keep working on change. This is not the only thing we're doing. We're also developing a research based on change and all the barriers that can be found in the implementation of such change. We already published part 1 of this research, and you can find it on our website, the website of the project. And we are now working on phase 2. And we started doing that through interviews, but also through a survey that you can find here by scanning the QR code that is on the screen now. And we would ask kindly for your support in collecting some more answers, because this research is actually crucial for us for the next steps of the research, and also for the organization of the last part of the workshops that we will have with such sport clubs, organizations, and federations to guide them through change in management. We already collected several answers, but we really need the support, especially for the southern countries, from the southern countries such as Italy, Spain, France, and also from the East area. In our project, we have Latvia, for instance, and they're collecting so much, but really, this is a call for action from your side, since you're all interested in the topic, and it would support us greatly. By scanning this code, you will find the survey in English, but on our website, you can also find it in the different languages of the project. So the ones that I mentioned, and also in Danish. And I think that's it. If you need to contact for everything like related to the change project, in the follow-up email that we will send after the webinar, you will find the presentations that were given today, also the answers to the last question that we didn't have time to answer live, and links to all the survey that I just mentioned and to the project. So if you have any questions, then you can simply answer to the email that you receive afterwards. And with this, we close the online seminar of today. Thank you everyone for participating, to the speakers for dedicating us some time and to helping us create some knowledge about innovation and also change management. As I said, you will receive a follow-up email with all the information, and you can get in contact with us for any question you might have. Also, all the information will be on ENSO website, so you're invited to visit that as well. Thank you so much again, and have you all a nice evening.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining. Bye.
Bye-bye.